Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane's studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Appreciate you hanging out with us. A lot of football talk in hour number one. There's more of that coming in hour number two, Denton Day, 30 minutes from right now. But I want to start with basketball. I told you on Friday that I was really excited to watch LSU and Texas Tech. Broke down the Red Raiders, told you about JT Toppin, one of the best bigs in the country, best big I think that the LSU may play all year long, and thought this would be a really good litmus test for where LSU is, because I have liked a lot of the things that I've seen from LSU, but I don't think Boston College is very good. In fact, they may be the worst team in the ACC. I don't think DePaul is very good, and I don't think Drake is very good. I think some of those teams carry some cachet with their name, but as far as the actual product on the floor this year, I don't think those teams are great. And so I was looking to see kind of how LSU stacked up against a team that I know to be good. And your answer on Sunday was grossly disappointing. Grossly disappointing. Because LSU was not competitive against Texas Tech at all. Start to finish. I mean, you look at the flow of this game. And in the first half, LSU was down 12 points after 8 minutes of play. I mean, they were down 9 after 4 minutes of play. They were down 12, then they were down 14. The lead swelled to 20 after 11 and a half minutes. They went to the locker room down 21. And then in the second half, it didn't even get any better. I thought that LSU, maybe they'll make a run at some point. They never made a run. 17 was the closest it got in the second half, and it swelled to 30 at one point with 6 minutes and 46 seconds to go. LSU was annihilated by Texas Tech. Now, I want to talk about why they got annihilated, and then we'll talk about whether or not this is who this team is, or if this was one bad day. LSU made a concerted effort to make sure that JT Toppin didn't go nuts. It was obvious. They were sending double teams all the time. If you didn't watch the game, Texas Tech has a center who is the Big 12 reigning player of the year. He's 6'9", he's left-handed, he scored 35 points at Illinois. He's really good. And LSU had Michael Nwoku on him, and they were sending double teams, and they did a good job against Toppin. He did not hurt them badly at all. He was 5 of 10 from the floor. He scored 11 points. He had 15 rebounds. But he didn't hurt him offensively that bad. But when LSU was doubling, they were leaving the perimeter open, and Texas Tech's got shooters. I told you about them, and those shooters got hot. And LSU had no answer and could not stop them. Texas Tech made 8 of its first 9 three-pointers in this game. And aside from one, which is the end of the shot clock, LSU had a hand up, played great defense, double clutch, 4 shot at the end, and it went in. It was a fluke. Outside of that, they were just good shots. Texas Tech was running offense, getting the ball into the post, attracting double teams, getting offensive rebounds, kicking them back out, having open threes and knocking them down. And so Texas Tech got rolling with 8 of their 9 threes that they hit early. And on the flip side, LSU could not make anything from three-point range. It could not throw it in the ocean from three-point range. They finished the game 4 of 24. And let me make sure I have this right. They made 2 of their last 4. So LSU at one point was 2 out of 20 from 3. And this now is essentially 3 halves of basketball in a row, because your second half against Boston College was awful offensively. And then this game for 2 full halves was awful offensively, and you could not shoot. And you've got a 2-guard that you feel is a really good shooter in Max McKinnon, who went out there and went 0 of 9 from the floor, 0 of 5 from 3. Rashad King plays on the wing for you, 0 of 3 from 3. Marquel Sutton is supposed to be a scorer for you. Versatile, can put it on the floor, can shoot from the outside, 0 of 4 from 3. De'Don Thomas, he led you with 13 points. It took 14 shots to get there. And he has been so dynamic distributing the ball this year, and he finished the game with 1 assist and 3 turnovers. Everything you did offensively was bad. And they just never got into any kind of rhythm whatsoever. And Texas Tech this is not a Chris Beard Texas Tech team. This has not been a Texas Tech team that's been exceptional defensively. And LSU just had no answer for them on either side of the floor. Nothing on offense, nothing on defense. You couldn't guard, you couldn't shoot. Couldn't get to the free throw line, couldn't stop them. And the score got lopsided because of it. You lost the game by 24 points. And it was never close. And that's really, really, really disappointing. Here is what I think about that, what this says moving forward. I don't believe LSU is terrible. I don't believe LSU is going to go 3-15 in SEC play. I don't. I think that it's a team that's got some offensive firepower, that's got some size in the front court, that's got some versatility in how it can do things, both offensively and defensively. I think they're an okay team. I think in this instance, LSU played as bad as they can play offensively. I mean, you can't shoot any worse than that. They were 4 of 24 from 3 and 12 of 19 from the free throw line. That's 63%. They shot 33% from the floor. You just can't shoot any worse than that. And Texas Tech came out and made 8 of 9 threes. They will not make 8 of 9 threes in a game to start a game the rest of the season. I think what you had here was as bad as LSU can play and as good as Texas Tech can shoot. And those two ingredients into a recipe create a blowout. Absolutely. I don't think it's indicative of what LSU is game in and game out. I don't think so. I think they played poorly. I don't think they were grossly overmatched. I could be wrong. I started the show today telling about how I was wrong about Blake Baker. And if LSU starts 0-8 in league play and is an average defeat of 15, 18 points, I will stand here and I'll say I was wrong. Like, I have no problem doing that. But I am going to tell you what I think. And I think LSU is improved from last year. I think they're a pretty good basketball team, relatively speaking, with the rest of the country. And I think that they are bottom half of the SEC. I don't think if they played Texas Tech tomorrow in Fort Worth, that it would be this lopsided. I think LSU would be more competitive. The question is how competitive. The question is how often are you going to play like this? You've got a chance against a pretty good SMU team to redeem yourself on Saturday in New Orleans. If you don't, it's going to be a massive red flag. If you do, I can brush this one aside a little bit. They're going to play 18 league games. Over the course of those 18 league games, what you saw on Sunday is going to happen probably twice, where a team comes out and just kicks your butt. They make shots, you don't, game gets away, and it's just never close. Like, that's where LSU is as a program, as a team. There are going to be some nights like that against some of the better teams in the SEC. Not saying that would happen every time you played them, but there are going to be some nights like that. Like last year, LSU was never going to beat some of the teams in the SEC. Like Florida, LSU could have played Florida 10 times with last year's roster. Florida won the national championship. They would get beat by 15 to 25 points every time. Every time. And I don't think this team is in that spot. I think this team can be competitive with some of the better teams in the SEC more often than not. But yesterday was indicative of what can happen if you don't play very well. You can get blown out. So to put it in short, like, I'm disappointed in yesterday. I really thought it was a chance to make a bit of a statement to me. I said this on Friday. Not to the college basketball world. The college basketball world's not watching me play Texas Tech. But they can make a statement to me, interested fan, interested media member who's covering you. Hey, okay, that if you could beat Texas Tech or play with them, I go, okay, that's a real step in the right direction. And you missed that opportunity. So now the skepticism is warranted. And I know that most of y'all driving around, most of y'all listening to this are going, we knew this was going to happen anyway. We don't like this coach. We think this team's not any good. We're not buying into early success like they had last year, and they got into the SEC, embarrassed themselves. And you're on an island full of people, and you are in a good spot. Like, I'm not telling you to get off that island. I don't want to go on that island. I don't want to be on that island. I don't like that island. So I'm going to hold out hope over here by myself that LSU is a little bit better. Yesterday did nothing to reinforce that, and that's disappointing. They have to come out on Saturday. Have to come out on Saturday and answer the bell. They have to. If you don't, it's a strong indicator that you're looking at another brutal SEC slate. Because Drake's whole team went to Iowa. BC's the worst team in the ACC. DePaul, I don't think is very good. You got to show up against SMU in New Orleans and prove that you can throw some punches with a functional team. You don't have to win. I'd like it if you won. This Saturday's a different beast than this one. This one, you were a 6.5, 7-point dog. You were likely to lose this game. Texas Tech's a top 20 team. They got the Big 12 Player of the Year. You don't have that. This is not that next week with SMU. So LSU's got to answer the bell come Saturday in the Smoothie King Center. We'll talk about that on Friday, but really, really disappointing stuff by LSU on Sunday in Fort Worth. Couldn't even make it interesting through the first half. Brutal. But I do think that was not indicative of the outcome most of the times between LSU and Texas Tech, because LSU can't shoot it any worse and Texas Tech can't shoot it any better. And it's a make and miss sport at the end of the day. And Texas Tech made them and LSU missed them. So that's my look at LSU and Texas Tech from yesterday. We'll talk national college football when we come back in 15 minutes with Denton Day. When we come back from this timeout, we'll talk a little LSU football. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Look, it doesn't have to be a big, expensive, expansive renovation. Like, when I say that word, you probably think big projects. And it can be, but it doesn't have to be. If you've got one of those big tubs that they put in the 80s and 90s, big jacuzzis that you never use or doesn't work or hasn't worked in years, and it's just sitting there taking up space in your bathroom, get rid of it. Tub to shower conversion. You get rid of the big bathtub, you put in a glass walk-in shower, change the aesthetic of your bathroom, change the functionality of your bathroom, add some value to your home, just makes you happier. Get in there and get in that brand new shower. David Duvall and One Bath and Closets can help you out with that. If you're concerned about financing, they've got it. 0% up to 18 months if you qualify. Go see pictures of their great work. Request that free consultation online at onebathandclosets.com. Onebathandclosets.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
So, we'll talk to Denton Day coming up in about 15 minutes about the college football playoff, about the selection of Alabama over Notre Dame, about James Madison and Tulane. We'll do all that with Denton Day. We also want to talk a little bit about Indiana as well. Impressive win for Kurt Cignetti's team. Just amazing that he's put that program in that position to go toe-to-toe with Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game and knock them out was amazing. We'll do that in 15 minutes. I want to talk about two newsworthy things that kind of dovetail together at LSU. The first is that On3 named its true freshman of the year, and DJ Pickett was their pick. And I was a little bit surprised at that. I figured there'd be some 1,000-yard receiver or quarterback that turned heads or something. Pickett had a great year, but I just didn't think he would win a national award for it, and he did. And it's indicative of what was always going to happen when Corey Raymond came back to LSU from Gainesville, that you're going to immediately elevate the level at which you recruit and the level at which you develop simultaneously. And what you've seen is you've got DJ Pickett winning this award for True Freshman of the Year, and you've got Mansour Delane going to the Thorpe Award ceremony coming up on Saturday. Like, it took 2 years for Corey Raymond to produce that. And that was always going to happen. It just always was. And so you've got DJ Pickett here. You think Corey Raymond's going to be here. Blake Baker talked this morning on the morning show about, they're still working through some things with the staff to keep the continuity there, but the expectation was there to be a lot of continuity on LSU's defensive staff, and certainly Corey Raymond would fit that bill. And you've got that type of talent coming in and that type of production on the field. And because of that, we got the second piece of news that Ashton Stamps is going into the transfer portal. Now, we knew this was coming. Stamps talked to the LSU staff. He played his 4 games this year. He wanted to preserve that year of eligibility so he didn't play the rest of the way. And that's not uncommon. You saw a lot of the same things from Caleb Jackson this year. 2 guys, same class. Same class. 3 years at LSU that played in their 4 games, and then they were going to sit, and Stamps is in the transfer portal. And we'll see what Caleb Jackson decides to do, but I wouldn't be stunned if he went in the transfer portal. But Ashton Stamps is. And you look at Stamps' career arc in Baton Rouge. He comes to LSU as a true freshman, 2023. And Corey Raymond's gone. He's not here. And that was the worst defense in LSU history. And they needed Ashton Stamps, a true freshman, a 3-star recruit, to come in and play and start the final 4 games of the season as a true freshman. That's where you were in terms of your defensive back depth and talent. You had to have a 3-star true freshman come in and start. And as a sophomore in 2024, he started all 13 games for LSU. That was Corey's first year back. And he had a decent season, ranked third in the SEC in passes defended, had 14 of those, made 51 tackles, had a couple of hurries. In the season opener against Cal, he had 3 pass breakups. Southern Cal, he had 3 pass breakups. And then you bring in DJ Pickett, and you bring in PJ Woodland, and you go get Mansour Delane, and then you go back to safety, and you got AJ Halsey, and you got Tamarcus Cooley. And Stamps just kind of found his way tumbling on the depth chart a little bit. And that, to me, is not an indication that Ashton Stamps didn't put in the work or Ashton Stamps was lazy. Not at all. Ashton Stamps was a great worker. But the talent level just really raised when Corey Raymond got to LSU. And you saw an LSU team that was very, very good in pass defense that's now garnering national awards, and Stamps is looking elsewhere. And I think Ashton Stamps is an SEC-level football player. I do. I don't think he's a Thorpe Award winner. I don't think he's the best player in his class at the position like DJ Pickett. And then it was basically him and PJ Woodland, like mano a mano. Couple of guys, similar size, Stamps a little bit bigger. Good athletes, dynamic high school players. Who's going to win that one spot? And Woodland won it. Woodland took that job. And so Ashton Stamps will look elsewhere. He put Go Tigers at the end of his post today on social media. And he'll look elsewhere. But LSU is in good shape at corner. You bring Corey Raymond back. You bring PJ Woodland back. You bring DJ Pickett back. And I think next year, when we mentioned going to SEC football media days in July, I think when we go to media days in July and we get that ballot for the all-conference team, I think DJ Pickett will be first team. I think he will garner that kind of respect nationally and certainly regionally because of the star level he was as a recruit and what he put out there as a freshman. LSU's coverage grades this year were fantastic, and Pickett's got better week over week over week on Pro Football Focus. And so that's your baseline. You go get a really good player in this class already in Haven Finney. Maybe he can come in and help you a little bit. You've got Aiden Anding, who was the number 1 corner in the state of Louisiana last year, who didn't get a lot of time this year, but is on the roster. And Corey Raymond's just going to get those turnstiles going again. And as I mentioned, like that was always going to happen when he got this job. And you're going to see a lot of turnover on the roster. Some of it towards the professional level, but some of it moving on. But is like I mentioned at the very top of the show today, something I harped on. With Blake Baker now back, and the continuity that's going to come with him on that staff, you feel like LSU's in a really good position defensively to restock the shelves. You're going to have to do that annually, but you really got a chance to restock the shelves. Blake Baker talked this morning about Whit Weeks. He didn't say anything, but Jake said, Whit Weeks can come back, right? Blake Baker said, we know. Discussions are ongoing. And that's the kind of thing that if Blake Baker wasn't back, you feel like you probably don't get Whit Weeks. If Blake Baker's not back, maybe a defensive coordinator comes in and wants to put in his own secondary coach, and then you might lose some players. But the continuity that comes with sticking with your defensive coordinator is going to create some stability on the roster as well. And then some of the guys that depart are just guys that may not have gotten a lot of playing time. I think that's kind of where Ashton Stamps was in this decision. Like maybe not a lot of playing time at LSU moving forward, so might have to look elsewhere. That's what Stamps will do. DJ Pickett, National Freshman of the Year for On 3 Sports. All right, we're chugging along here on this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Still plenty to do over the course of the next 35 minutes or so. I want to talk to Denton Day about a lot of things nationally, so we'll do that with him when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust went down to New Orleans this weekend because I had to pick up the Myers man from the airport. So went and stopped by for lunch and looked across the street, and there was a First American Bank and Trust right there in Metairie. One of the 25 locations they've got in Southeast Louisiana. There is always one near you. First American Bank and Trust started up in 1910, been here 115 years. They can help you with your commercial loan. They can help you with your residential loan. Deal with First American Bank and Trust. Don't deal with one of those national banks who doesn't know where you are or where you've been. Deal with a company that's been here in our footprint for decades and decades, for generations and generations. They're part of your community. Every decision made at First American Bank and Trust is made locally. All of them. It's not some call center in Atlanta or San Francisco. It's right here in Southeast Louisiana. So when you're looking into banking, if you're looking for a loan, First American Bank and Trust is where you need to start. First American Bank and Trust.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Chugging along here on this Monday. Glad you're hanging out with us. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Just a couple more weeks left in this year, 2025. Mondays give us an opportunity to head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline, talk to our guy Denton Day, SiriusXM's college football overtime. He's with us now. Denton, how we doing?
Hunt, I'm good, man. Hope you are too. Fun weekend this weekend.
It was. It was very busy and interesting. Let's table college football playoff for a second here. I want to start back on the coaching carousel. Where are you on Penn State's process and end result with Matt Campbell?
Well, it's funny because when they first fired James Franklin, it felt like Matt Campbell was the name that had initially been mentioned, and then it went quiet for 2 months. And when they struck out on everybody else, he was just available. So I think it's a fine hire, but if you fire James Franklin for not being able to beat good teams and not getting you to the place where you can win a championship, I don't know that Matt Campbell coming in automatically fills the void that you thought you still had with James Franklin. So he's a fine coach. I think it's a good hire. I think he'll be able to do some good stuff with the resources, but I don't know that he puts Penn State in a position where in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they're going to be a championship level team.
I hear where you're going there, and I'm like a little bit further down the road than you. Like, I look at Matt Campbell's resume at Iowa State, and I realize it's Iowa State. I understand. But they're always like 8-4. I don't understand why everyone seems so infatuated with Matt Campbell when they're playing Baylor and they're playing Texas Tech and Kansas State, and they're going 8-4 every year. I don't really understand.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a classic, well, if we think we give him more money, he's going to be good. And every program has that. I don't know how often it actually works. I mean, Penn State has set themselves up to be the next Nebraska and Tennessee and Florida. It's not that James Franklin was this great head coach. We've spoken about this before. He's a high tier 2 coach in the sport. Well, Matt Campbell is like a tier 3 guy trying to break in to tier number 2. So maybe he finds the quarterback, but he never really found the quarterback at Iowa State. I mean, if you remember, Brock Purdy is good in the NFL now. He was supposed to be like a second-round pick. And that final year at Iowa State was atrocious. And that's why he fell to be the final pick in the draft and this great story in the NFL. So Campbell's never really been able to get the quarterback position looking fantastic, and that's always been one of the things that's hamstrung Penn State. So I don't know, maybe a couple extra $1 million helps them there, but I think you're looking at 8-4, 9-3 for the next couple of years, and then you'll be scratching your head. Maybe that gets you to the college football playoff, but I was under the assumption they wanted a lot more.
All right, let's talk about the games over the weekend, and let's start with the Big Ten championship, where Indiana just looked Ohio State right between the eyes and beat them. What'd you think?
It was a really impressive performance from Indiana. I thought defensively they were really strong, and that was my big question because the front four had done a really good job, I thought, against Oregon earlier this season, and I wanted to see if they could do it again against Ohio State because lost in some of the bigger storylines with Ohio State, obviously the weapons they have on offense and the great defense they have, is their offensive line had been pretty good. And Indiana was able to get pressure on Julian Sayin in a way that nobody else had this year. I think that was the determining factor in that game. When Ohio State needed to put points up, they couldn't. And that's the first time we've seen that this year. So I was really, really impressed with what Kurt Cignetti was able to do. And they beat him without Omar Cooper, who was one of their best receivers. He left early with a lower body injury. So really, really impressed by that. Not the high-scoring affair that you would have liked to see in a primetime game, but I can't think of a better Big Ten score than 13-10 in a championship game.
Would you have the guts to pick Indiana if they play again?
Not at all.
Nope.
Not at all. I think that Ryan Day getting to see that defense up close and personal is going to be beneficial. And if they do match up again, I think he'll have some tricks up his sleeve to be able to get after them.
Let's go to the SEC game. The storyline obviously was the rushing yards for Bama, or very much lack thereof. What do we make of that? Is it just this team doesn't run the ball, or do you think Kalen DeBoer's got a physicality problem in that program?
I think it's both, but I'm way more concerned with Ty Simpson. He hasn't had a good game in a month.
Yeah.
And I think that's starting to really show itself. You know, when he was playing really well in kind of the beginning to middle part of their gauntlet, right? Like the game against Vanderbilt, he was fine. The game against Missouri, he made a couple of really impressive throws. But his last, what I would call even remotely good game, was ironically against you guys in LSU. But that was a month ago. I mean, he didn't play great in the Iron Bowl. He certainly didn't play well this weekend. He didn't even play great in the layup game. I'm really concerned with what's going on there because we knew they couldn't run the ball. Like, I did not think they were going to all of a sudden be able to run against Georgia, but I did think Ty Simpson would be a lot better. I also thought Ryan Williams would be a lot better this year. Remember this time last year when we were throwing him in conversations with Jeremiah Smith?
Yeah.
Boy, how silly do we look for that? He has been a complete non-factor, really, for the second half of this season. That's been a problem for Alabama.
Yeah, the ball, I mean, that touchdown, prospective touchdown, he just didn't even get a hand on it. It just went right through his mitts. It was weird to watch that in slow-mo. Yeah, he's had a tough go of it. What do you make of Georgia? Do you think they're the best team in the country, or Indiana still, or Ohio State?
I think Georgia is up there. I actually would have had Georgia at number 2. I would have dropped Ohio State a little bit more just for their performance. But I think that Georgia, since losing to Alabama, outside of the Georgia Tech game, which, you know, that game was just a little weird. It's been weird. It's a rivalry game. But they played some really good football. And I think Gunnar Stockton's looked good. Defensively, they're super physical, man. And, you know, a Kirby Smart defense, the fundamentals are great. They're going to tackle well. So I do think Georgia they're in a very small group right now of teams that it would not stun me if they are the ones hoisting the trophy at the end of this thing.
Texas Tech is on Indiana's side of the bracket. Would you be surprised if they got to the national final?
No, they're good. They're really, really good. The problem that they're going to run into is that they don't execute in the red zone very well. I mean, they should have beat BYU by 40 in the championship game and the first time they played. But they have a lot of offense. They have problems once they get into the red zone. And, you know, once you start to play teams that are really, really strong defensively, Georgia, Ohio State, and Indiana, it's going to be really difficult to capitalize there. And you can't beat these teams with field goals. So you're going to need to be able to execute better. I think that's the one thing that's hampering them right now, because everywhere else they're good. That defense is fast. They tackle really well. The quarterback is good. I like Baron Morton. I think he's a really good player. I think they're like 98th in the country in red zone percentage, and that's not a championship level number.
All right, let's go to the bracket. Where were you on the Alabama, Miami, Notre Dame thing?
I thought Notre Dame should have gotten in. I mean, they've handled this with a ton of grace. LOL. The way they've handled this has been like picture perfect what not to do.
Yep.
But I do think they should have been in. I mean, the model that we are currently using is not a good one. And, you know, I like the group of 5. I went to a group of 5 school in Liberty, and had we been in the 12-team model a couple of years ago, Liberty would have been in the playoff, and that would have been awesome. But the reality is the college football playoff is about determining excellence, and inclusion should not be a primary factor, or inclusivity should not be a primary factor in determining excellence. And the fact that we got 2 G5 teams in while still also getting an ACC team in and knocking Notre Dame out in the process is a disaster.
Yes.
Because Notre Dame had a legitimate chance, I think, of contending. Maybe they're not going to get to the national final. They still have some flaws, certainly, and they haven't really played anybody good in 2 months. but they had enough there to say I would like to see them get an opportunity against an Oklahoma, a Bama, an Ole Miss, an A&M, whoever. Like, it would have been nice to see a rematch with A&M or even a rematch with Miami for that matter. So the fact that we're now going to get two blowouts, because I don't think either Tulane or James Madison is going to keep it remotely close with Ole Miss or Oregon, is a bad for the fans. It's great for like 12 hours on Twitter, but once the game kicks off, it's going to be brutal, and it's going to be over by the end of the first quarter. So it's a disaster that we've gotten here. But again, Notre Dame has made it very difficult to feel bad for them the way that they've handled things the last 18 hours.
So as far as the G5 reps, last year we looked up and saw Boise get a bye and went, oh, we got to fix this. And they did. Can they do anything about this?
I think what you're going to get is, you're going to get expansion, which I don't need more teams. I just want good teams.
Yes.
I just want to cut it. 8 has always been the perfect number, but I think that you're going to see expansion, and then you'll see some play-in games, and then maybe you'll get a guaranteed one G5 team in there, and then if you have a situation which feels like a once in a blue moon, where you get a G5 team that is legitimately ranked inside the top 12. Maybe you get something like that, kind of like what Cincinnati was a couple of years ago. But I do think that they're going to eventually whittle their way out of having to put two G5 teams in. And I think this is just a really weird circumstance of events that happened this year, and the ACC completely screwed it up. It's totally their fault. But I do think moving forward, if both teams get blown out, which I expect them to, there's going to be some serious conversation about maybe moving them to their own final, or just, hey, we're not going to get you in ours.
That works for me. Get them out. Don't need to see them ever. That's my feeling on the whole deal. All right. Where would your Heisman vote go?
I think it would go to Mendoza. Diego Pavia has been fun. I did laugh at Johnny Manziel tweeting that fade should not be a Heisman moment. Like, Pavia didn't hit a Heisman moment for basically a forward lateral against Kentucky 2 weeks prior. I think, though, when you take into consideration what Mendoza did against that particular defense, I would give it to Fernando Mendoza. But this has been a tough year for the Heisman, man. No one's really stood out because no one's really played good teams.
Who do you like to win the whole thing? We'll talk about it matchup by matchup when that time comes. But right now, looking at the bracket, who do you like?
I still like Ohio State. I think second in that conversation would be Georgia, then Indiana. So those would be my top three. But I think Ohio State's going to get it done. There's something about Ryan Day in big games when he's coaching for a championship. We saw it last year. I think his offense is the best in the country when he's in his bag play calling wise. So I think it'll be Ohio State.
Can you assure me that neither Texas A&M nor Ole Miss will play for the national championship?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that Ole Miss has it in them to win multiple games, and we've seen what happens when Texas A&M plays competent competition, and they're going to start playing great teams the rest of the way. So no, I don't think either of those teams will be in. Georgia, yes. Ole Miss or Texas A&M, no. You'll be fine there.
Yeah, I'm fine with Georgia. Ole Miss and A&M are my only rooting interest here. Anybody else, I'm fine with, but those two teams, I can't have advancing to the final. That's that's where I'm standing. All right, Denton, we appreciate the time, man. Have a great week.
Yep, I appreciate it.
Denton Day, SiriusXM's college football overtime with us on Mondays. I want to go. I think we talked about this. Did we talk about Matt Campbell on Friday?
That's for Penn State, right?
Yeah, he took the Penn State job. Maybe we didn't talk
I don't think it was but I know we talked about
but I just don't understand the love affair that the national media has with Matt Campbell. I'm going to pull up his record here. And I understand fully that he's at Iowa State. Like, I get the fact that he's at Iowa State and that's not Ohio State. I get it. But I look at his win-loss record and I go backward. Like 8-4, 11-3, 7-6, 4-8, 7-6, 9-3, 7-6, 8-5, 8-5, 3-9. Like, there's no. He had an 11-win season 2 years ago. They won the Pop-Tart Bowl. I'm struggling to find the reason why everyone should be so infatuated with the Matt Campbell product. He's 50-40 in the Big 12. He's playing Baylor and TCU and Kansas State and Oklahoma State, and he's going 5-4, 5-4. every year. Like, they were 4-8 a few years ago. I'm struggling to understand why everyone thinks Matt Campbell's such a great coach.
So you're telling me that Penn State basically signed the Big 12 version of James Franklin?
Well, Chris Marler's saying who should they hire? He's texting me who should they hire. It's like their 11th choice. I understand. I'm not suggesting that Penn State shouldn't have hired him. I just don't understand all the college football national people are like, oh, Penn State got the best hire of the bunch. It's like, really?
Yeah.
The guy that usually goes 8-4 at Iowa State is this like the belle of the ball?
It's a lateral move for sure. Recruits. They have no recruits coming in, so you gotta I'd say.
Who knows? I think Penn State's a great job. I think that they probably took a step down in coach here. Maybe Matt Campbell shows up there and wins a national championship, and I'm an idiot. I'll be thrilled to say it. But like,
you'll be fine. That's not happening.
I don't. His record's not that good. It's 72-55.
Yeah.
At Iowa State. Whatever. All right, let's come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Marucci Hitter's House still open for business. If you're looking to get some deals on your baseball, softball equipment, Marucci Hitter's House is open until December the 14th. You got 6 more days. Runs through Fridays. You can get huge discounts on Marucci, Victus, Balm, Lizard Skins. Go on the Marucci campus tour. You get 20% off the Hitter's House that same day. Looking for footwear? They got cleats. They got trainers. So on and off the field, you are set like the pro. Got to go check out the new bats. They got Marucci's Reckless and the Nova Lit from Victus. You can take them in the cage, take some hacks there at Marucci as well. So if you've got a youth baseball player, youth softball player in your house looking for great deals on great Christmas gifts, the Hitter's House at Marucci open until Friday at 6 p.m. It's the Hitter's House at Marucci.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
A little bit of surprising news to me, at least, coming down the Twitterverse. The college football transfer portal going to be opening up here. And Ahmad Bro, LSU defensive tackle, plans to enter the transfer portal according to Hayes Fawcett of On3. Bro's played in 24 games in 2 years. He's made 36 tackles. He really kind of broke into the rotation last year as a true freshman at defensive tackle and was certainly a contributor on this team. You had a defensive front that certainly rotated through Bernard Gooden and Jacobian Guillory and Dominic McKinley. But Gooden Bro played a good bit and looks like he may be headed elsewhere. A little bit surprising. I'm curious if the lack of stability at a defensive line coach may have something to do with that. Ahmad Bro played in high school for Kyle Williams at Ruston, and then Kyle Williams came in as the defensive line coach at LSU for this year. Now Kyle Williams is going to be moving on with Elijah Robinson coming in to coach the defensive line, and maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe he's just looking for a fresh start. I'm not really sure, but Bro, I would think would be a likely starter on next year's team on the defensive line. Bernard Gooden will be moving on. Jacobian Guillory is out of eligibility, so you think that he and McKinley are probably the odds-on starters. Defensive tackle, but it looks like he's going to try elsewhere. I'm surprised by this. I am too, but to add on to your point about the day before he posted a picture of him and Kyle Williams on his Twitter page. So does that have that may have something to do with it? But yeah, man. But I kind of you kind of get the writing on the wall why he would leave in a sense, because you bring in Richard Anderson, you bring in Deuce Geralds, you're bringing a bunch of these guys, and they're probably going to be in the portal. So you kind of expect somebody to leave. I mean, look, nobody putting their name in the transfer portal is stunning. Yeah. It's just that it's never stunning. It can be a negotiating ploy. It can be just an opportunity to cover your bases. You never know anybody that's going to stay anywhere. So nothing's ever stunning. But when you see a starter hop in, your eyes perk up a little bit. And Ahmad Bro is basically a starter for this LSU team. So that's a bit of a blow. You're going to have to fill a lot of holes in the transfer portal coming up with this first Lane Kiffin roster. And maybe Ahmad Bro comes back, but you feel like it's unlikely when you go into the portal. So that's the news of the day. That just broke. We'll have a story up at LouisianaSports.net here shortly. But Ahmad Bro reportedly entering the transfer portal, according to Hayes Fawcett of On3. All right, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer. 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, all the flavor you're looking for a delicious beer, and all the benefits you're looking for from a light one. It's Flight, the next generation of light beer.
Okay, so Colts quarterback Daniel Jones tore his Achilles yesterday after playing on a broken tibia on the other leg. The Colts also traded 2 first-round picks a month ago to acquire Sauce Gardner from the Jets. Are the Jets feeling rich today? Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. They got a lot of picks. They got a lot of picks. Now, Sauce Gardner's a heck of a player. I guess you can't really look forward to an Achilles tear, and that doesn't necessarily affect the Jets. But, yeah, it's tough for the Colts, who've had such a good start to the season, been so good running the football. Their defense has been good and improves with Sauce Gardner, and then quarterback goes down. That's a huge bummer, no doubt, and that shakes things up in the AFC in a big way.
Oh, it does, and another thing that shook the AFC up, that kind of has to do with the Colts, too. So Patrick Mahomes throws 3 INTs last night, and the game-sealing INT was dropped by no other than Travis Swift. Is this the end of the Chiefs dynasty? Take it or leave it.
I will take it. I'll take it. I don't know that I'm betting on the Chiefs anytime soon to win the Super Bowl. They certainly could. They scored 10 points last night, 3 interceptions, as you mentioned. They're 6-7.
6-7.
Just feels like, I don't know what that means.
It means nothing.
I know. But you're like, I mean, you got coming up. You've got some tough games for the Chiefs. They've got to play the Chargers. They got to play the Broncos coming up in a couple of weeks as well. So Broncos. I just don't think the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs. And Andy Reid is not going to coach forever. No. And Travis Kelce's done.
He's done.
And their defense is still really good. Even though Chris Jones didn't have a monster year this year. But I think that their run here is going to come to a close.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, reason why I even talked about the Colts was the team that beat the Chiefs was the Houston Texans. So the Colts are having a mid-season collapse as the Texans and the Jaguars they're basically going to run off with the division at this point. So speaking of another division, Jaden Daniels, unfortunately, LSU legend, Heisman winner, re-injured his elbow yesterday as the Commanders got dominated by the Vikings. Yeah. Should the Commanders have sat Daniels for the rest of the season? Take it or leave it?
Take it. I'll take it. You got Daniels out there playing hurt. Joe's out there, slinging it around against Buffalo. I mean, these guys. It's so sad. Like, those two guys are my biggest investment in the NFL, and they're this year's just a complete waste. Just a complete wash. And this is of course a year where the Bengals get off to a hot start. They're 2-0. Never 2-0. They're always 0-2. They're 2-0. And then the Chiefs are falling apart, and you're like, okay, this is the Bengals. Let's go. And they stink. He gets hurt. So that stinks. And then, of course, Washington, you feel like trying to follow up that great run last year to the conference championship game, and nope, can't get your quarterback healthy, and your defense stinks.
And also, Malik Neighbors goes down. Yeah. Brian Thomas Jr. having a bad year. It's not really looking too good for the LSU guys in the league at the moment.
It is not.
But that's it for take it or leave it.
That is it for take it or leave it. I guess Tyron got out right in time. We'll retirement there.
Literally. Whoa. I can't do all that because, hey, Tyron, you could be on this 3-win team right now and ride the boat. We're on the suck train right now. You could have been on here, bro.
Big win for St. Aug back on Friday night against Curtis at the buzzer.
Hunt, it's a big win. I got all these Aug people in my family, all these Aug. They've been talking. They've been chirping. This is the first time they made it since 1970, whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, bro, you got to go see the beast. You won the game, but you got to go see that beast.
You got to go see Carr.
Yeah, you got to see that beast in the dome. So
they had 15 guys sign a scholarship.
15 guys.
That's crazy that Aug hadn't been to the dome in that long. They had Tyrann Mathieu, they had Leonard Fournette, Trey Turner.
But Hunt, you would think they'd been there sooner. How much their alums talk. You would think St. Aug was you would have thought they'd been sooner. So
how did they not go to the dome when they had Leonard Fournette at running back, Trey Turner on the offensive line, and the big dude.
Christmas? Was it Christmas?
They had no.
Did he play at Texas?
No, he played at LSU. They had 2 LSU linemen.
Oh my goodness, I know you're talking about
Adrian McGee.
I can't tell you his name. I know you're talking about.
Somebody
they had a guy named Stanley Morgan at receiver that was a monster who went to. I think he played at Nebraska, who was really good. But no,
was Adrian McGee at St. Aug with Trey Turner?
No, they had a dude named DeAndre Christmas who was a beast when I played.
I'm looking at he was from Franklinton. I can't think of the other linebacker. Somebody in the body for, the other offensive lineman. Literally, it was Trey Turner and another LSU guy on one side of the line, and then they were seniors, and Fournette was a freshman. But still, that's still good enough to win some games.
Well, you got to see that beast. Good luck.
Yeah, Carr's tough. All right, that's it for this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Talked a lot of LSU football. Talked some Saints winning for a change. You can catch that at Hunt on Saints, LSU stuff at Hunt on LSU. Also chatted with Denton Day about the college football playoff. I gave my thoughts on the college football playoff as well. Tomorrow's show, we'll have Colin Jeter. We'll have Glenn West talking Tigers. We'll also chat with Sharif Ishak on the Saints. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further View. Hope everyone has an awesome and a safe Monday evening. We're back tomorrow, 1 o'clock, for a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.